Hi, this is Tom, Junkie XL, and welcome to my One Take series. Today, I'm going to go on Spotify and just look for one of my older tracks, and I'm really going to talk you through it, why I did it and how I did it. And I actually did find a track that I would love to talk to you about, which is the remix that I did of Talk, Coldplay. And I think I did it in 2005-ish, something like that. So let's just play this thing. I put my earbuds in, and then I'm going to talk you through it. Here we go. So the song starts with a bunch of ambient sounds, and at that point in time I was really into a software program called Kima, which is kind of like what Pro Tools is. It's hardware with software, and it came with incredible software that really allowed me to make really incredible ambient sounds. So all the drones that you hear in the beginning of the track are basically all samples from Chris Martin and just stretched out over minutes and minutes and minutes to create this ambient vibe. And on top of that, I put his original vocal slightly edited to introduce like the song. Now remember, this was done in the days where people liked really long remixes. So this doesn't exist anymore nowadays. I think this remix is like 11 plus minutes or something. You know, that's not recalled for nowadays. And even then, I was the one known for stretching remixes till the very, you know, max. Anyway, the track did really well. A lot of progressive house DJs love to play this stuff. Actually, now we're getting into the rhythm side of things. The kick comes in, which was always like one of my signature things, like how to make a kick like that. And I was playing with DJs at the time who would play from vinyl, and then I would play digital, and my sets always sound like almost twice as loud as the DJs before and after me, and they always thought that the sound system was cranked up, but it was not the case. So my kicks usually comprised of like 3-4 samples at the same time, one dealing with the low end, one dealing with the mid-range, more the character, and one for the top click. And I would always compress the hell out of it with multi-band compression to get it like really tight. So now the section that we're listening to right now, you hear all these chopped up vocals, which were also made with Kima. And I was able to really create interesting sequences out everything that Chris Martin sang. And that was, you know, it gave me really amazing results. And then obviously I had to do a lot of editing to then make it work within the track. Also at the time, I was 100% working in Pro Tools. Everybody knows by now I'm a Cubase guy, but back then it was all like in Pro Tools, because Pro Tools then gave me the best way to work and edit everything. So now we're at the point where the bass kicks in. And what I did a lot in those days is that I didn't use synth basses. I just always used my live bass, and my favorite live bass is the Fender Jazz Bass, the Marcus Miller edition. And they weren't even that expensive, like $1,000, $1,200, but really one of the best bass guitars you can get. And I would always use like a Boss bass exciter and then a big muff on top of that. And that would be my bass sound for the whole album today, and a lot of the remixes that I did in that same time period, of which obviously the Coldplay remix. The thing I want to say about the Coldplay remix, what was really nice, is I was expecting maybe just like an outtake from Chris Martin, just the vocals. But I actually got the whole Pro Tools session, how they actually finished the song. So I had everything in there, like all the different layers of guitars, all the different bass sounds, the different drum takes, and obviously all the Chris Martin vocal takes. So it was really cool to go through and just grab all these little snippets and to do my thing with it. I would say like most of the stuff you will hear in the remix is actually played or made by myself. So it's primarily the vocal of Chris Martin that I used, and not really any of the instruments. And the section that we're in right now, it's really building up the tension to go to the breakdown. And in the breakdown, we have the full introduction of the melody, which was very typical for progressive house, is to introduce the track, just kind of sit on a certain mellow vibe, usually on the same bass notes with very little elements coming in, building up to a peak and then stop, and then out of nothing the whole track would then build, which is very typical for that time period. Nowadays that stuff wouldn't fly because people have, they have no interest to listen to a 6-minute introduction, before the actual song actually starts. So we're finally there. So we're having this ambient breakdown again with all these Kima resamples of Chris Martin. And now we get the interesting bit. The melody starts. And what many of you potentially don't know is that this melody was actually 100% copied from Kraftwerk. And they made some financial agreements with Kraftwerk. But since I was a super Kraftwerk fan, when I heard this song for the first time, it's like, oh my God, they, they covered Kraftwerk or something. I thought it was a brilliant idea. I don't know who came up with it to use that. So the way that I use my melody is it's really like a hybrid between an electric guitar, but then also a synthesizer to kind of honor that Kraftwerk history right there. And the beat comes back in and it's really rolling, and now we're getting more into the song how we know it as a single. So Chris starts now singing like his verse line. I did edit a lot in the vocals, so I basically cut together a verse line that I really liked out of the 2-3 verses that were there, if I remember this correctly. And I kept repeating that over and over again because it had more of a hypnotic effect. So once the song really starts, it pretty much has the structure of what the single has, which is you have a verse, and then the chorus is technically the Kraftwerk melody with Chris's tag-on line, "Let's talk." Also in those days, my track sounded relatively very mellow in frequencies when I was mixing, which was kind of interesting because my hearing was going backwards because of all the live shows that I did. And when my hearing was actually really, really good, impeccable, my mixes were always very aggressive and very harsh. And my mixes have become warmer and fuller over the years, even though my hearing has taken a serious dent. But apparently what scientists say is that your brain is actually making up for certain things that are not there. So I don't hear them, but maybe I do hear them, I don't know. And also I look a lot of like what metering does and what I'm doing to like certain EQs and stuff, and you can just tell that you're on the wrong path by just looking at it. You don't even need to listen to it. So now we get to the point of the track where we're really building up like the big kick in of the song again. So all the instruments are gone, a little bit of guitar and piano. I remember this piano actually, I recorded that on somebody's stand-up piano at home, and I recorded it on the little memo recorder. This is way before the iPhone, so I recorded it on a little memo recorder, and then I sampled it and used it again. So this is like the pretty big part of the song where it really starts kicking, and it was always fun for me to play this song live. And I usually would mix it, the song that would come after this usually was a mashup that I did of Enjoy the Silence of Depeche Mode and Moby's Go, which has the Twin Peaks thematic in it. And for whatever reason, the two of them always worked like magic in a row. But you know, I haven't been playing live for a really, really long time, so obviously I haven't played this song for a long time. And I actually listened to this remix like a couple of days ago, just to refresh myself a little bit before I was gonna record this video. And it's interesting, every track that you make, there's like special memories and really special things that you found like in the process of that. And this is a perfect, occasion where what I used to like to do is, just to take the melody of the song and then try to reharmonize it like completely, like find different chords, find different bass lines, yet keep the spirit of the track intact. And I've always liked doing that. And at this point, the track is like very mellowy, building down, kind of like how it started, which makes it very easy to mix in with the next track that you're gonna play. It has to be another 11-minute remix because the outro is so long. It's gonna be hard to, mix it into like a track with just 2 seconds intro. So, but like I said, it was very normal between 2000 and 2005. It was the norm. It was fun to do. And for me, remix was also all about ear candy. How to do like really nice little sounds that you might not hear in a club, or when you hear it at home on a headset. And this track is like full of these little ear candy like production things that make it really nice to listen to. And the track is almost coming to a very, very, very slow end. Not slow as in tempo, but just building down and layers disappear. And what we're ending up with is more or less what we started with, which is those nice ambient sounds of Chris Martin made by that amazing program, Kima. Well, that was Coldplay Talk. If you want to hear another song that I made in the past, analyzed like this in our One Talk, then you should really submit, any track from Spotify. Go on Spotify and just find a track that I did like in the past. Send it to us and we'll do another one of these with the track. Thank you. See you next time.